Hey guys, welcome back to Terra Fantasy. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the Simulacrum traits, the passives that you get through, gifting the Simulacrums. So we're going to go through, I've made a whole chart that just summarizes the main characters in the game at the moment and which ones you might want to go for. And quickly at the start here, I'm going to go through the gifting, activating the traits, and where to get gifts. So that'll take 2 seconds. I'll have timestamps in the description as well if you want to bounce around and skip this bit. But the first thing is, if we go over into our Simulacrums, if you want to activate one of these traits, first you've got to unlock it. We go to the Awaken tab and we go to Gifting. Now, to find out what the traits are and look at them in depth, because I summarized them in my chart, you can look here. This is at 1,200 points and this is at 4,000 points. Now, my chart is going to cover only the 4,000 point one because I thought it was the the most end game type thing you're looking at. So that is how you find out what they are. To unlock them, you're going to gift your units, and note that some gifts will give extra benefits. So these are both green gifts, but you can see she really likes this gift, so it's going to give her plus 15 instead of plus 10. I'll leave a link to the website where you can click on any Simulacrum, scroll down and see what gifts they actually like if you're trying to min-max. For me personally, I'll probably just have one that I want to focus on. I want to unlock ASAP, and I'll just dump everything into it. But if you want to play more long-term min-maxy type stuff, you can wait and only feed ones, give them ones that, give the extra bonus if you want to optimize like that. That is completely up to you. And then to activate the actual traits themselves, you just come into this screen and you'll see this one with the star, the Simulacrum trait. You click that on. So you can have this one down the bottom is the skin, and this one is the trait. So you can have, say, Coco's trait on with Samir's skin. So you don't have to have the same and same. It's this little toggle on off. If you unlocked one, that is where you select it. Now, where to get these gifts so that you can actually do the gifting. So the first one here is in the black market, and you can see Hopkins here. You're going to talk to him once every day. He's going to give you 2 boxes to choose from. You open one, you get a gift. Now he is, if we go to the map, in the black market just up here. Now the next one is going to be down here in the Bangies, or the Bang. What's this place called? In the dock. There's a dude there. I'll just put it up on screen now because I'm not going to just travel there. I'll put it up on screen. The dude has a shop that refreshes every week that you can buy a bunch of different gifts. And the final one on my alt account, I haven't actually unlocked the area, so I'll put it up on screen. But in that carnival area, there's a claw machine that you can play up to 3 times per day to get extra gifts as well. So these 2 daily and this guy weekly, and that's going to give you a fair chunk of gifts to eventually, unlock some of these abilities. So now that we've gone through that, let's jump over to my chart and have a little bit of a talk about it. Now there's a few units that I haven't included on this, 3 of the SRs, but I'll mention them at the end. It's just like they didn't really fit on here, and I don't think they're going to be too relevant. So that's why I left them off, because, we're trying to make it look a little bit clean too, working on my graphic design type skills. Anyway, we have 4 sections. We have DPS, we have team buffers, we have self-sustain, and then we have tech. But before we go into those ones, we're just going to talk Nemesis quickly. Nemesis is a bit of a unique one where she only applies to herself and buffing herself. And I don't think she's going to be as relevant. I don't think she's going to be a top choice for anyone really, but feel free to pick it up if you want to flex your Nemesis. At minimum, I would say you want to have her 1-star so that her skill can also bring out the electrodes. But I just don't know in general combat that it would rely that you're always going to be using her discharge ability, keeping 100% uptime on her skill, and still then I don't think she'd have either healing, like support, or DPS benefits that the others will provide. So that's her. Basically, each time she summons an electrode, she'll deal volt damage equal to 100% of attack to enemies within 30 meters and heal all allies, including herself, within its range by 200% of attack. So it's some damage and some attack, but I think there's just a better supporting option with Coco and better DPS options with pretty much any of the DPS. So that's why I put Nemesis here. She doesn't really fit in, but if you want to flex the Nemesis, go nuts. So let's go through them, and then I'll talk about which one I think you guys should choose, or which one I'm choosing, and give you my recommendations. So first off, over here in the DPS options, we have Samir, Tsubasa, Shiro, and Crow. Now, in the green, I've sort of just summarized what they do and then given a bit of a description. So if you're a DPS and you're avoiding damage while you're dealing damage, Samir is going to be the best. Tsubasa is probably going to be the best if you're taking damage. Now, Shiro is going to be probably the best if you're a physical main and you're probably got Claudia. So this is probably going to be physical main with Claudia and Shiro if you're doing that. It's going to be a very tech option with the Shiro. And Crow is if all you care about is solo content and don't care about having any buffs in group content. Now let's go through them. So Samir, she gets a 20% attack buff after 20 seconds. So she gets a stacking buff. She gets 1 stack every 4 seconds. But if she takes damage, she does lose a stack. So that's why I say if you're avoiding damage, she has a nice buff of 20%, but you can lose stacks. Tsubasa, on the other hand, every time she deals damage, she's going to get a stack. It gets, I think it maxed out at 30 stacks. She can only gain 1 stack per second. So sorry if I messed any of this math up, but it should be pretty spot on. But yeah, she does get, after 30 seconds, an 18% attack buff, and it lasts for 30 seconds. So even if you're in the world going around different groups of enemies, hopefully the 30 seconds can keep it up so that when you get to the next group, it's still active. So that is Tsubasa. Shiro, basically after you use a skill or discharge ability, you're going to gain a 16% attack buff to all types of attack, and physical is going to get an extra 10%. It only lasts for 8 seconds and it's on a 16-second cooldown. So when you average that out, if you kept up 100% uptime, like maximum uptime that you can on this ability, you'd be looking at an overall buff of 13% to physical units across the board, but you can use it in different burst situations. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then Crow, basically you get a 10% attack buff, and then you get an additional 12% for 12 seconds after entering combat, which is, he's amazing for solo content. So you don't have to like stack it like with Tsubasa and Samir, and you can just run mob to mob, because after you defeat any group of mobs, you're gonna like exit combat, go to the next one, enter combat. You'll pretty much in solo play just always have a 22% attack buff, because you'll normally kill all mobs in one area within about 12 seconds. So pretty solid for that. Next up, we have team buffs. Coco, I didn't include the part of hers where she does increase healing, but I thought the buff was really apparent. So when she uses a support weapon skill or discharge ability, she's going to grant all allies a 15% attack buff for 5 seconds, which is really nice. I know it's only 5 seconds, but if you're raid or something like, if you're in group content healing, and you've got 2 healing weapons, you're going to be using a lot of discharge abilities and skills, and that's a pretty decent attack buff for your team to really help your team out, when you're just sitting there healing. So Coco is really nice in my opinion. Then we have Echo. I put Echo in here because if you're a DPS and you want to support your team, this is nice. So this is one that I think is going to be like not too bad for free-to-play players who don't have a hell of a lot of damage, but they're grouping up with whales who have high damage, because you're boosting. Because to me, if you've got like 2 whales on your team that can deal massive damage, increasing that damage that they're dealing by 6% is probably more important than increasing your own damage by like 20%. So I think Echo can really have a place in group play. The next one is going to be a tech one, which is Zero. He reduces relic cooldowns by 3 seconds every time he uses a weapon skill. Now, this could have DPS potential. It's going to take someone smarter than me to work out maximization of this. You need probably a few weapons with low cooldowns to really optimize it. And you'd have to be really on point with your rotations. So tech, maybe down the road, I'll pick this up and test some things out, but yeah, at the moment I'm not too sure on him myself, but he is in there as a cool tech option. Then we have the self-sustain column. The first one's gonna be Meryl. She's pretty much for tanking Frost. If there becomes like a crazy Frost boss that you just can't, your guild can't deal with in a raid, you're struggling, maybe you pick this up. I wouldn't recommend just picking this up willy-nilly, but I don't know where the B's there. I must have messed up in editing, so ignore the B. But frost damage, big frost damage minus that, just frost damage minus 25%, frostbitten immunity, and frozen time minus 50%. The next one is Huma self-shielding. So basically every time she takes damage, she's going to get a stack. If it's fire damage, she gets an extra stack. And then once she uses a skill, she converts those stacks into a shield. I think it maxes out at like 12%-ish of her max HP. So, once again, it's going to depend how struggling you are in your guild with content and stuff like that. I don't think this is going to be very relevant. But maybe if you're struggling and you're the tank and you're dying too much, just blame the healers and you'll be fine and ignore this. But maybe you might want to pick up Huma. And then we have King. I just don't see a need for King. Every 5 enemies killed restores 10% max HP. I've never had on CEN or on global an issue with survival, even if I don't have a healer. Just need a bit of food. things are pretty peachy from there. So I don't see a real need for King, but that is me personally. So that is all of them in a basic summary. Like I said, you can go into the game, you can go into their traits and look more in depth, but I tried to summarize it here to make it fairly easy. Now, who should you choose? Now, I would probably recommend to most players, even if you want to be a tank, especially a tank, but even if you want to be a team healer with Coco, I'd probably pick up DPS first just to make your solo life in, dailies and stuff like that a bit cruisier and easier. Now, who you pick is up to you. If you don't care about group content at all and you're just like, I'll just get carried by whales and not really care about contributing, then Crow's good because he's going to probably be the best for solo content, dailies, and all that sort of stuff. Like I said, Shiro is probably for Claudia. Niche usage later on. I'm probably going to pick her up on my Shiro account that I'm saving for Claudia with because, I just love that stuff. But yeah, she's a bit more niche. The two blanket options for DPS, if you're going to be doing group content and solo content and all that, is going to be Samir and Tsubasa. Now, if you're pretty sure you're pretty good and you're not going to take much damage, go Samir. If you think you're going to be hit a few times and take some damage, just go Tsubasa. That would be my two recommendations. Now, if you're a tank, I would definitely, if you want to be like an endgame tank for your guild and stuff like that, I would pick up Tsubasa. Reason being, if you're a tank, you're going to be taking damage. There's no way around it. Tsubasa is going to buff your damage. So at least if you're a tank, Tsubasa is going to help you with solo content and also help you in group content and stay relevant. Now, if you're a tank and you've got Tsubasa up there and then you find you're still struggling for survival, I would then maybe consider Huma. But honestly, even if you're a tank, I would go Tsubasa first. And like I said, even if you want to be a healer, I'd probably pick one of these guys first just to, make your solo life easier. But then if you are going to be a healer bringing two support weapons, I would pick up Coco. The support for your team is just really nice. Plus it gives increased healing. And then, like I said earlier, if you're a free-to-play trash bag, casual, after you've picked up one of these DPS, maybe you can pick up Echo. That's what I'm probably going to do on my free-to-play account. My free-to-play account, I'm going to main Shiro and Claudia when she comes out. So I'll probably pick up the Echo. And then my big plea to the whales to carry me will be, listen guys, my damage sucks, but I can buff your damage with Echo by 6%. And then I'm going to star up my Shiro weapon, and then she'll get, extra bonuses. So I'm just going to be that guy that's like, listen, I do no damage, but I will buff your damage. Please carry me. So that's going to be my strategy. That's the niche option for him. Zero, maybe down the road, have a play, see if you can find out with the strategy with him. Meryl, I just don't see anyone really needing to do this unless there's a crazy raid boss that's like, you need this for it. And I think most teams will probably be able to just survive without needing that. We'll have to wait and see. And then, like I said, Huma, blanket tank if you need survivability, but hopefully you can just upgrade your gear and stuff and you can stick with Tsubasa for tanking. And then King, I just don't see this as useful really anywhere because I've never had an issue. If you're really struggling, maybe do it just for that. But yeah, that's pretty much the roundup of those abilities. And just quickly to cap off the other SRs that I didn't mention, NA over here is going to give you reduced endurance consumption. The big thing would be while gliding, but at 1 star, I think it is, or when you star up your glider, you don't consume it anyway, so it's not much of a use. A Bailing over here, when the Bailing puts the glider or the jetboard away, increase speed by 15% for 12 seconds, but it's on a 60-second cooldown, which makes this one quite irrelevant in my opinion. Hilda might be valuable for you if you're just exploring, trying to finish off, collecting all the loot because she does increase vehicle speed by 10%. But this would be like one of those ones in the future that you would even look at. On top of that, we have over here, which is going to be Pepper. Now, Pepper, when Pepper spends satiety, I can't, when she eats, increase restoration effect by 20%. So I think that the way this reads to me is like when you eat food, you heal more. But I could be wrong on that. But either way, I don't think it's going to be the greatest either. So that is those few that weren't on the screen. Just I wanted to cover those, but none of them I really think are going to be that relevant, except for maybe Hilda in the future when you just want to increase your mount speed. That'd probably be the only one. That pretty much sums up Simulacrum traits, how to get them, where to get the gifts, how to activate them, and, a basic summary and who you should choose. But anyway, guys, hopefully it helped you make a decision. Thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.